Hello, I'm Hotspur Klosser with the Youth Services Department at the Fayetteville Public Library. I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's Teens Create Bullet Journaling video, part of our 2020 summer reading series, Imagine Your Story. Check us out on the web at www.faylib.org for a full calendar of summer events, and don't forget to sign up for our Read Squared app, where you keep track of all the time you spend reading for points and prizes. If you signed up for this program, you should have already received a bullet journal and a pen. If you did not get these items or you did not register, that is okay. You can work with what you got at home. If you have a notebook and a pen, or if you have any kind of paper, it'll work for today's purposes. So let's get started. So a bullet journal is just a way of keeping track of things like to-do lists, short-term and long-term goals, thoughts, and other personal information all in one place. While you can definitely do most of these things through individual apps on a smartphone, the fact that a bullet journal is analog means that it can provide a refreshing change to our digital dependency and allow us to get away from the screens that we spend so much time on, especially now in the age of COVID. And I know, you can go into a Barnes & Noble and find a wide selection of day planners that already have sections printed out for you, but what's the fun in that? A bullet journal can be so much more than a day planner. It can be a list maker, a habit tracker, a diary, a recipe journal, an exercise log, quote book, sketchbook, dream journal, motivational tool. The dot grid format allows you to tailor your very own journal to your exact specifications as to how you want to use it, as opposed to the constraints of a pre-printed planner. We'll cover just a few of my favorite uses in this video, and don't be afraid to mix it up or try something different. There are absolutely no limits to what you can set up your journal for. Let's start with the basics. Most bullet journals are going to have a dot grid format as opposed to a lined or a blank format because it's the most versatile for formatting your journal without having to use a ruler. When it comes to writing in your journal, fine liner pens work the best because they don't bleed through the page. Sakura Micron pens are great as their pigmented ink is permanent and of archival quality, but they can be expensive. My favorite alternative is the Sharpie pen, which is what you've been provided with as part of your kit. It isn't as fade-proof as a Sakura, but it's a nice compromise in the quality to price ratio. Do not confuse the Sharpie pen with the Sharpie marker, as the marker will bleed through absolutely all of your pages. The pen is the way to go. When setting up your journal, it can be a good idea to leave a few pages blank in the front to create an index or a table of contents as a reference point, so that you can find things quicker as your book fills up. You can number the individual pages or divide the book into sections for different journals, or you can even divide the pages themselves into quadrants and number them if you'd rather. Let's start with a few productivity journal methods. The first is the simplest, called the Ivy Lee method. At the end of each day, write down the 6 most important things you need to get done tomorrow, and leave a section for notes at the bottom of the page. Put them in order of importance, and when you wake up and start working on your list the next day, only work on the most important task until you get it done. Then you can move on to the next item on the list. At the end of the day, whatever tasks didn't get completed will be moved to the next day's list. And if you added any new tasks to your notes throughout the day, you can prioritize those to replace the tasks you completed. But never go beyond 6 on your daily page. 6 is the magic number. One of the methods I like to use is called the Eisenhower Box, named after former President Dwight Eisenhower, because that was the one he used on a daily basis. This is great if you find that your to-do list keeps getting longer and longer because it helps you prioritize. Divide your page into 4 quadrants and write urgent and not urgent across the top and not important and important along the side. Take your cluttered to-do list and assign each task to a specific quadrant using the criteria of whether or not it is urgent or time-sensitive or important. Things that are both important and urgent will end up in the first quadrant, and those are the tasks you really want to concern yourself with, while you can sleep safe and sound knowing that you can completely ignore whatever winds up in that 4th quadrant. Another helpful productivity method is called a habit tracker, which is a great way to get yourself into better practices. Behavioral studies have shown that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit, and if you continue doing it for 90 more days, it becomes a lifestyle change. With a habit tracker, you are creating a behavioral checklist to make sure you do something every single day, like exercise or read a book or brush your teeth. I sure hope that isn't something any of you need to add to your list. But just check off a healthy habit for 111 consecutive days, and chances are it will have become second nature by then. Now, the most common use for a journal is as a diary, and bullet journals are great for this because you can set up an index for important dates or events. The dot grid also allows you to create specific sections and boundaries for your diary entries, and you can get creative and add dedicated pages or sections for sketches or inspirational quotes. If you're practicing calligraphy, the grid is great for guiding your penmanship. Mine here could use a little work. And if you like making comics or are an aspiring filmmaker, the grid could even help you shape your panels or create storyboards. So those are just a few things you can do with the bullet journal. I encourage you to seek out additional resources online. Sites like Pinterest and YouTube are great resources for finding tips and tricks on customizing your very own journal. Just remember that the possibilities are limitless. You can do anything you want to with your own journal. Don't forget to keep checking our Facebook page and Instagram for fresh content uploaded daily. And sign up for Read Squared, earn points, earn prizes, and thank you for watching.